Hello everyone, good morning. I hope you're doing well today and I hope your day is going great. So in today's episode, I just wanted to make a little note that the reason that I did not upload last week was because school started the week after and I was just really busy with my schoolwork and getting everything set for my new classes. So I didn't really get the chance to edit my episode. I did record it, but I feel like editing the episode takes longer than actually recording it. So that editing process I just didn't have time for that. But in today's episode, we are going to be looking at a little bird called the Pacific robin. So this episode is fairly going to be shorter. And it's not going to be a video episode. I'm just going to attach pictures of this little robin. So I hope you guys enjoy it. But I do apologize for not uploading last week. I will try to make it really consistent moving on. So the Pacific robin is also called the Petrosia pusilla. So it is from the family of Petrosidae. And some of the birds in this family is the western yellow robin, the pink robin, the black robin, the tomtit, flame robin, scarlet robin, eastern yellow robin, and so on. So the western yellow robin is also called the Upsaltria griseogularis, and it is kind of a very small species that is from Australia. The pink robin is called Petroica rhodinogaster, and they are kind of also very small, but they're also found in Australia. So the next one is the black robin, or the Petroica traversii, which is found in Chatham Island off the east coast of New Zealand. The tomtit, also called as the Petroica macrocephala, is found in Australia, and it's also very small. And similarly, the flame robin is, it is also pretty small and is native to Australia. So most of these robins in this family, the Petroisidae family, it has 46 species. All of these birds, most of these birds are found in Australia or New Zealand. So is our Pacific robin. Our Pacific robin is from the genus Petroica, just like all of the other robins that we just learned about. So it is a red-breasted Australasian robin. So Australasian refers to a species that inhabits this particular area, which is the subregion of Oceania comprising Australia, New Zealand, overlapping with Polynesia. I know that sounds really complicated, but that's just a specific part in Oceania. So any inhabitant that kind of lives there is referred to as Australasian. So our Pacific robin is a red-breasted Australasian robin. So I feel like in the last episode of the Canada Jay, we learned about the passerine birds. So our robin here, as well as all the other robins that we just briefly looked at, are all passerine birds, but they belong to the genus Petroica. So she was found, or this robin was found in Melanesia and Polynesia. So that is kind of little islands that are found near Oceania. So it has similar plumage to the scarlet robin, and they thought it was the same kind of bird until 1999. So this Pacific robin has 13 subspecies under it, but it all has various plumage. So the way they kind of find food is also different, as well as their habitat. So the Norfolk robin was previously considered a subspecies of the Pacific robin, but is now considered a distinct species. So the Norfolk robin looks really similar to the Pacific robin. It is also kind of found in Australia, but it is in the Tasman Sea between Australia and New Zealand. It does have a little variation in its color. It's a little bit more orangish kind of plumage, and it also has like a white cap on the top of its head. So it is found in Norfolk Island. That's why it's called the Norfolk robin. So I feel like there are a little bit of confusion regarding the robin subspecies, whether they are similar, under the same species or different species on the whole. But one thing we know for sure is that this Pacific robin has 13 subspecies under it. So moving on to the appearance of this little bird, the Pacific robin is only 11.5 to 13.5 centimeter long, and it weighs only 9 to 11 grams. So it is very light and very small, and over much of its range, it is the smallest species of bird. So I bet that this bird is really popular for its cuteness. So the plumage of the males and the females is dimorphic. So plumage means the feathers, and dimorphic means kind of differences between both sexes. So the males will have different plumage than the females, or it might not be very different, but it might have a little difference. The extent of this dimorphism varies depending on the subspecies. So each subspecies has different levels of dimorphism. So the male of the nominate race has a black head with a white forehead, and it also has a black back and tail, and the wings are also black with a white bar. So this picture, I think, is of a male Pacific robin. So I don't know what nominate race means, but let's just say the male in general has a black head with a white forehead. So the cap is also present in the Norfolk robin, and I think that's why they confused it as the subspecies while it was actually a separate one. So this white bar is kind of very contrasting to the black, as is the white forehead. So the black plumage of the male is replaced by dark brown feathers. So I think as they grow up, this might happen, but I don't know for sure. Maybe you guys can check why they kind of change colors of their plumage to dark brown from black. The female actually lacks the white forehead and the white bar on the wing. So this white forehead, this cap, and this white contrasting bar is not present in the female. And the breast is a duller red than the male and has more brown on the side. So as we see here, there are big differences, such as the presence of white cap and the wing bar. And there are also smaller subtle differences, such as the presence, the level of white present in their rump, or the slight variation of color in their breast. So the both sexes have black legs and bills. So this is one of the similar characteristic of male and female Pacific robins. Amongst the subspecies, most males have more female-like plumage. For example, this particular species of central Vanuatu, I think it's an island in Fiji. The males of this species has more female-like plumage, and in others, the female more closely resembles the male. So, some of the species, they can also kind of not have this dimorphism, or can have a reverse dimorphism. So that is very interesting. So the distribution of this particular species of Pacific robin is very interesting because it is mostly found in islands such as the Papua New Guinea, Fiji Islands, Samoa, Solomon Islands, and Vanuatu. So the realms that they are found in, the biogeographical realms, are Australasian and Oceanian. So in the last episode, we saw the I think it was the Paleo-Arctic realm where the Shima and Naga were found. So that is one of the biggest biogeographic realms. So I think Australasian and Oceanian are also kind of they come under this category. They might not be the largest, but they're still part of the biogeographical realms of the Earth. So the Pacific robin inhabits the islands of the southwestern Pacific. So it ranges from Bougainville in Papua New Guinea through the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu, and eastwards to Fiji and Samoa. So I really appreciate the scientists that track these populations, because I know that is not a very easy thing. So really detailed there. So this species is absent from New Caledonia. I don't know where that place actually is, but I think it is overseas of France. It is a kind of a collective island south of Vanuatu. I think it's kind of near Australia, but also like near France. So that is very interesting. If you guys know where New Caledonia is, please tell me. So across its range, the species is resident, although there may be some small localized movements of birds in the non-breeding season. They're saying that this species is not migratory for the most part, but sometimes they might kind of migrate to local places during the non-breeding season. So a fossil found on the islands of Ha'apai in Tonga shows that the species once occurred in the group, but is now extinct there. So the Ha'apai Islands of Tonga, they have some really cool animals there, especially whales. They have a lot of whales there, turtles and all that. So since it's an island, it has a lot of sea animals or ocean animals. So I don't know how this kind of Pacific robin ended up there. So now it's extinct. So it might have been living in the Tonga Islands previous. So the diet and nutrition of our Pacific robin here is not very bizarre. It eats insects, spiders, and pseudoscorpions. They also generally feed in lower sections of the forest, although they will ascend to the forest canopy occasionally. So, as we saw in the Shima and Naga, they also will go to the top of the trees to kind of get the insects from the tips of the branches. So I think some insects are only found in the top of the branches, or some fruits are only found there. I am not the expert. The birds are. They know where their food is found. They will also join with mixed species feeding flocks to forage. So I think they will, they're very open to other species and mingling with other species, which is really interesting and very a really nice trait. The prey is obtained by aerial flycatching, gleaning, sallying, and pouncing, with different populations favoring different methods. So gleaning actually means plucking small prey from the ground, foliage, or other surfaces. So mostly they catch insects in this way. So this is from the ground or from other surfaces. They just pick the little insects off. Fly catching is a method where birds kind of see an insect and pounce on them from a perch. So they kind of, they snatch their prey and return to the same or different perch. So sallying is also a similar way of feeding, where they kind of pounce on one of their, I shouldn't say pounce, they just, fly and snatch their prey mid-air and come back to their perch. So I think this, we can see this in the kingfisher. It doesn't necessarily catch insects in the air, but it pounces on, the water, or, from a perch, it goes down in the water to carefully maneuver and, catch its fish. So while it doesn't necessarily catch insects that way, it does catch other prey in the same kind of method. So now moving on to some mating habits of the Pacific robin. The Pacific robin is a seasonal breeder, although the timing of the breeding season varies across its range. So a seasonal breeder means it breeds only in a particular season, but it looks like not all species in different ranges breed at the same time. So information on the timing of the season is patchy or is absent for many islands, especially because they're islands and they're not very well developed, so they can't really track their breeding or mating habits. So that has been a problem in kind of giving information about their mating habits. So in Vanuatu, the breeding season is from October to January, and in Solomon Islands it is in mid-August, and in Samoa it is in June through September. So this species builds a compact nest, which is a cup of plant fibers and spider webs. So we know that many bird species use spider webs for their nests. I've never, thought that as a weird thing. I never really paid attention to it, but now that I think about it, it, it might be a dangerous thing to steal from a spider, especially if it's really big. So yeah, I can imagine the spider kind of making its web and then going out to find food just to return and find its web stolen by a Pacific robin. That would be a funny thing, but it is a very dangerous thing in my opinion. So the outside of the nest is decorated with moss and lichen and is therefore easily overlooked. So I don't know if these birds have different interior decoration tastes or like exterior decoration tastes, just like we have for our houses. So they're decorated with moss and lichen, so they're really kind of blended in with the foliage, so they're really overlooked, easily overlooked, which might be a very good thing for staying away from predators. The nest is usually set in a fork or a stump on a tree branch or on a horizontal branch. I do find it interesting that it places its nest into a fork or a stump on a tree branch, because those are not very common places to place a nest. So around 2 to 4 eggs are laid in each clutch, with 2 or 3 being typical in Fiji. The eggs are dull gray or greenish and are incubated by the female. So in some bird species, the nests are incubated by both males and females, like in the Shima and Aga episode. But in other species, such as the Pacific robin, only the female or only the male kind of incubates them. So this is something interesting here. The nests of Pacific robins are kind of taken over by fan-tailed cuckoos, where two species co-occur. So it is a very interesting thing, but it's actually really common than you think. Some birds kind of take over other birds' nest or parasitize them. I don't know how to pronounce that word. It says parasitized. The fan-tailed cuckoos, for example, they might place one of their eggs in the nest of a Pacific robin. When the egg kind of hatches, the Pacific robin will also feed the fan-tailed cuckoo's nestling, thinking it is its own. So, that is a very sneaky thing to do, but I don't know about how the birds kind of react to that. So, lastly here, we look at the population status of the Pacific robin, which is fortunately least concerned. So in the IUCN Red List, it is listed as least concerned, meaning that we don't really need to worry about this species. But then when we see the population trend for this species, it is decreasing, which is very interesting. So I think there might be subtle kind of threats for them, just like the Shimanaga species, and these birds might have a conservation blind spot. If you want to know what that is, you can go to the Shimanaga species. I think I mentioned it in there somewhere. So I feel like some birds, they are considered least concerned, but they do have subtle vulnerabilities in their habitat. So that is it for today's episode, guys, and I do apologize for not uploading last week. So moving on, I will keep it consistent, but there might be times where I might be a little late, but I'll really try my best to keep it really consistent. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please you can leave a review in Spotify, or a rating in Spotify, and a review in Apple Podcasts, or you can message me in Instagram. So my username is early_bird_weekly_podcast, or you can email me to this email, earlybirdweeklypodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, I'm really open to hearing any of them. Even if you have anything that I can improve for the podcast, or if you have anything that is your favorite part or was your favorite episode, you can definitely let me know. So thank you so much for listening, guys, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.